Hey, happy Friday Live, you guys. Great to see you. I am copying this link and putting it into the chat for you so that you guys can let me know who is participating because we are on B Live today. So good morning, you guys. Happy to talk to you guys. It is, what is it? It's Friday the 19th. And let me open up. I love it when I actually open up Facebook here because then I can actually see you guys at the same time, which is a lot more fun. So many interesting things going on. Some of them not so good, right? Going on around the world right now. Some really hard things. Before I get into that, I wanted to say that there are a really interesting thing about patterns I've noticed this past week. I know a lot of the people that I've been working with have been experiencing really dramatic heart openings, and people who are friends, lots of people I'm talking to, there's a lot of heart opening that's going on in the world right now. So just something to kind of call your attention to it, your awareness to it, in case you're experiencing it too, because that's always huge, right? And when there's these sort of major things going on in the world, they're gonna have sort of a ricochet effect through all of us. So I'm curious if this pattern goes beyond just those people that I know and that I'm talking to. If you guys are experiencing any kind of heart opening right now, I think that would be really, really interesting and exciting to hear about. So good morning, great to see you, Mary. Great to see you, Amina, and Melinda. Hi, super to see you. I haven't seen Melinda in a while. Um, so Okay, so I've been getting a lot of friends and people reaching out to me asking about the stuff going on right now with the weather and in Texas, and asking. And hey, Rebecca. Oh yeah, she's saying yes on the heart opening for this empath. Very cool. Yeah, I mean that's great news. I mean all the stuff that we go through is purposeful right now. But when I look at these sort of larger things that are affecting the broader population, are they having an effect on us? Physically and emotionally as well. And so if this one is a heart opening experience, that's awesome. So, hey, Teresa, great to see you. So, yeah, so lots of people reaching out and asking if this stuff going on in Texas lines up with what we heard from the angels. And if that's, I got to tell you, as I was hearing about all this stuff happening, and it was piece after piece after piece, that it's like, yes, it does all match, and I'm a like a proof seeking person. Like I'm somebody, I like to be extra caution. I want to make sure I'm in my integrity especially as we're looking at these sort of intangible things of spirit. And so I don't like to go back and sort of pattern match and force fit things, but I gotta say, it is oddly aligned. Like the things that the angels said about, they said it would be, frigid cold temperatures, loss of power, water problems where people would have to purify their water. They said that the truck drivers would abandon their routes. So there'd be no deliveries. And that's all happening in Texas. And who would have guessed, in Texas of all places? And it's not just limited to Texas. Like right now, there's something like 13 or 15 million people in Texas that were impacted in terms of their water, specifically water and power, but large numbers of people that are under like orders to boil their water. And then it goes beyond Texas. So we've been hearing about Texas because it's the worst, but also in Oklahoma just declared a state of emergency. Louisiana has 1 million people without power. Even in Oregon, tens of thousands of people have had their internet shut down. That's Angel said, no telecommunications, no telephone, like no communications happening, and they're going to have it out for weeks apparently. So there's a lot of weirdness going on, and there's another storm coming through. So I channeled about this to ask, like, is this the thing? Is this the stuff that they've been telling us about? Because it isn't a perfect match. There's other stuff, like what about the earth rift, and what about and all the dreams everybody had about the tsunami and the waves? Like, so is it symbolic? Are those symbolic things? And I don't know. Like it is an interesting, the thing I come back to, and I'll share the message that I got from them and let you know what they're saying about it. But the thing that I come back to at the end of the day is that the goal of the angels, as they told us everything that they did, was for us to be prepared, for us to have the supplies that we would need to be able to survive a situation like this, for us to have a way of cooking, a way of purifying our water. Remember, they were big on that. Everybody buying their Berkeys or getting their life straws. And I mean, that's huge. They talked about that a lot. They said water is important. All of these things. And it's true, right? And whether or not you live in Texas, these are just good things to have, because we don't know what's coming ahead. They've given us an insight, but the angels are careful to only tell us what we need to know. They don't want to scare us. They don't want us to live in fear. They've also told us to be living, make sure we're focused on our life, like focus on living our lives. So they want us to be prepared, but they want us to live our lives. They said, whatever we're creating in our energy now, we're carrying forward into the future. So they didn't give us all the details. They didn't tell us everything that's going to happen. I think that's on purpose, so that we won't be overly focused on what's coming. They just want us to know enough so that we're making the plans that we need to make, so that we have the preparations that we need, so that you guys have some food stored away, all that kind of stuff, which, anyone who's with us, like I know there are some members of our group. I actually was chatting with John today. I was checking in because I know he's in Texas, saying, hey, are you okay? And he says, yeah, he just got power turned back on, which is great to hear. But so anyways, I think that's a big takeaway for all of us, is to, whatever preparations you've made, to keep them up, to just have those, because we are not out of the woods yet. There's more craziness on the horizon, and it's just a good idea to have these things here. But I can say, in terms of looking at what's happened, one of the things that one person shared with me was, they talk about the Earth rift. Well, and we talked about there possibly being like this, solar mass ejection or something happening from the sun. There was, during this period, there's been this massive coronal hole, which is not a CME. It's not an ejection of plasma. It's a solar, it creates solar winds. So see that big rift, see that big hole in the earth. I mean, not in the earth, but in the sun. This is a picture of the sun. And this is taken from yesterday. And this, when there's a big hole like this, and this is earth facing right now, it creates this solar wind, and it creates solar weather. And apparently this has a connection to, so the people who follow the stuff, the people who talk about this online, who are space weather people, they say that this has a correlation to extremely frigid temperatures. So they predicted that there's a couple of people online who said, okay, look at this big hole in the sun that's facing the earth. This is going to create extremely frigid temperatures in places where we don't normally have them. And I think Jen White is the one that told me about that as well, pointed it out to me. But yeah, it's so anyway, so it's, is it what the angels talked about? I don't know, but it certainly is like, I kind of think, okay, that's cool. But what's really important is the fact that, yeah, it happened. And hopefully you guys, if you're in those areas, hopefully you're prepared and hopefully you're safe. But this coronal hole thing is very interesting. And by the way, it's still earth facing, and there are still impacts to come from this hole, from this coronal hole. But the other thing I wanted to show you guys, oopsie, let me hide that one. The other thing I wanted to show you guys was, how the angels also said that they would be, and let me move my mic closer. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me well. Here we go. That's a little better. How the angels also said that there would be angels among us, and people would start to have visions or actually seeing angels walking on the earth. And I thought, wow, that's going to be incredible when that happens. And that's going to be, really far away. It's some time that happens. Well, okay, literally in the news yesterday, in mainstream media, we're talking ABC News, Good Morning America, Fox News, had this picture in their news stream. So this was on Good Morning America, on Fox News, all these other, what we would consider to be sort of mainstream media outlets, had this photo. And this is apparently an image. And I know I just feel the chills as I'm sharing this with you guys. There was a guy who had a motion sensor cameras in his front yard. And his cameras went off, and the video took this image. His motion sensor cameras, his security cameras took this image, and it's an angel. I mean, it's like, what would you call that? Everybody's in agreement. This looks an awful lot like an angel hovering above his truck. And they saved several images that the camera took, but this is the clearest one of an angel. And what did the angels say? We're going to start seeing angels on the earth. So like, I've been saying that, right? I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyways, I had to share that with you. So, okay. So I have, and Rebecca's saying, holy, I know, right? Like, what do you say to that? It's mind blowing, just mind blowing. Hard to think that that's anything other than that. Hard to think it's anything other than an angel. So I'm just going to leave that up because it's so awesome. Edie say, oh my Lord, I know, right? Wow, wow. So, and Wendy, I know, it blows my mind. So I will share with you that I channeled with the angels last night to ask them about all of this and to ask them about the messages and about, is this what they've been talking about? And here is what they said. They said, you have wondered if this occurrence aligns with that which we have illustrated. And we say, yes. It indicates our accuracy. However, there are more instances that will occur, and you are now understanding how we describe that which must occur, the things that are coming in the future. You have opened the concurrence, which means the consistency of our initiation, or to unveil this happening. So you've opened our agreement or consistency of this initiation to unveil what's happening. So basically, we have now understand that what they're saying is matching what's happening. Rebecca says, please leave it up. Yeah, for sure. I will. I know. It's like, I kind of want to just leave this on my desktop, have it be my screensaver. So, okay. Before we can illuminate all that surpasses this endeavor, we say, have not the trouble in your heart. Know we are there, wandering from place to place, having all surveillance understood, and knowing the circumstances of each and every participant. Does this bring to mind the picture here that they're saying they're wandering from place to place, checking on everyone? They even use the word surveillance, like they were caught on a surveillance camera. We are aware of their desires and how we might perform our urgently needed aid when required, but they don't all need or require this interference. There are many who are reluctant to open to our energy, and those whose life direction requires that they experience this hardship. They are in frequency with this event and have surpassed or risen above their own needs to comfort, or for comfort, to acquire the lessons contained therein. So in other words, they've set aside their own needs for comfort, and in order to acquire these lessons. They cannot be required to receive assistance, and we envelop their path with light to enable them to acquire the lessons they need. We assist their knowingness, not their safe passage. It is how they would be requiring our participation at the soul level. This is concerning for us, to be sure, but we know they are helping themselves ultimately by pursuing their own beneficial upliftment. So the angels always want to help us, right? They have the most compassionate hearts, but they know that if we have difficulty in our lives, if we have stuff that happens that's hard, and they are there with us through all of the challenges, and they feel for us, right? They love us, but they also know, they're always aware, they always have their eye on the prize. They always know that we're doing, whatever we're doing is for our greatest good, and they want to support. And so they will, if they can't help us in terms of helping us with our struggle, they will help us learn from the struggle. They'll help light up the path of understanding from the struggle that we're in, which I think is super cool to think about. All right, the next paragraph. They say, we have some words to share with those who care deeply about our method of conscription, of enrollment in the work of being divine. We say you can ascend. Almighty preference is to achieve this ascendance with trial and foresee your elevation over time. However, you can recant your own desire for teaching and become faster that which you desire to become. That light within can open before you now and have the full potential of your divine self at the ready. But this is forsaking the learning to which you aspire, to come to this planet, to see yourself informed about being who you are, being your natural self and understanding. The pressures that become forcing factors to determine your ultimate expression of self, these consternations don't exist on the astral. You cannot experience your true self in the same manner when all is in agreement. There, you do not experience yourself in trouble and difficulty, and see the truth of how you behave when choices are lost and you must have less than you desire. How do you comprehend your origin of thinking? How do you then find your energy? Is it consistent with your way of being when you imagine you know yourself deeply? We all assume our greatest stance when peaceful times exist, but when we are tested, we become that self, unrestrained by our higher judgment of who we are, and become instead that instinct overwhelmed, and truth pours forth. So I think this is an important message here, and I think they're speaking to, when we go through difficult times, and hardship, there can be sometimes the feeling like, oh my gosh, it's, like, why am I here? Like, I should just give up. Like, maybe, and I can tell you that if you have ever had those dark thoughts, gone through the dark night of the soul, and a lot of us do that as part of our journey, and have those dark times. And even if it's just a fleeting thought of like, hey, this is hard. Like, do I really need to stay here? Especially because we have so much faith and experience of what is beyond. Like, we know how much better it is on the other side. And we think, God, I've done enough in this lifetime. And if you have those thoughts, if you have those thoughts sincerely, it'll show up in your dreams like that. Like, you will have dreams immediately of whatever method it is that you chose for yourself to have a premature exit. And that may be cancer, that may be, whatever it is. And it'll show up immediately. We all have an exit route planned for ourselves, but they're telling you here that even when we go through dark times, that it's through that difficulty that tests us, that helps to bring out our true self. And they go on to say more about that. They say, so we see our brethren in our breath. So in other words, we see ourselves in others. We see ourselves as we are in truth, that echo of past vibrations. And here they're using the word our. I'm not sure why they did that, because they don't actually have these experiences. Maybe some angels actually do have earthly incarnations, so maybe that's why. But they were saying our here instead of us. They're really speaking about us. They're saying we see ourselves as we are in truth, that echo of past vibrations, past selves, past ideals that rankle and object and argue inside ourselves and erupt in behavior we cannot understand or predict or foresee. And we are instructed in that time of who we are, the compilation of all we convey in our spirit song, and yet do not see when peace is upon ourselves. We may relinquish this gift and pass peacefully beyond the scope of our tribulations. So they're saying we can give up if we want to. That's always our choice. We always have free will. They say, we may enter a state of calm and escape from this devilish land of opportunity and find instead ourselves back in the comfort of knowing only our peaceful expression. But this limits our development. We stay as one is now, concurrent with this time forever. So in other words, you always, if you leave, you're going to be just exactly as you are now on the other side and not grow. We do not take the advisement of our life lived at such peril to ourselves. So they're saying that we're giving up so much about in terms of the opportunity that we have here. We don't actually get to change and get to grow and get to evolve. They go on to say, engaged in briefly and rejected, this abnormal expanse of wonder can be rejected. It can be thrown off, left behind to try another more peaceful method of development. But we say to all, beware of the instinct to preserve your safety, your peace, your tranquility, for this passes. Eternity is beyond that gate, and you will be always who you are in this incarnation. That same breath, not changed, not enlivened by your growth, not accelerated into new heights of awareness, as you may be if you choose to be here, to be living in this place. Having this badness unfold, these difficulties imagined by us and revealed to you in discussion, how now you see how they pass and must wonder why. How can we avoid such turmoil? And we say, now you see you can, but for the choice to return to tranquility and leave behind the turmoil you face here. So they're saying I know it's bad. They're saying like, yep, it's bad stuff. And we know sometimes you might be facing the choice or the desire or the feeling that you want to get out, and you can, but look at what we'd be giving up. They go on to say, but know you can delve deeper still. You can stay and become that which you are at greatest heights. You can grow like no other place affords. You are held by us eternal. You are never truly at risk. There is no suffering beyond this plane, and this plane only exists within the confines of your imagination, of our imagination. Therefore, suffering does not exist. You are rightly provided the experience of suffering, but this is temporary and lived only while here incarnate. It passes from your mind the instant you leave this place. Therefore, it is not real from the perspective of yourself eternal. It is lives lived, stories told. Have in your heart the understanding that these occurrences are gifts given for your enlightenment. They pass with ferocity of feeling. Realness pervades your experience of total immersion in this self exploration. But as you complete, you are relieved of all burdens you carry other than the knowledge you take with you. Therefore, we say, be brave, be strong, accept these trials and tribulations of life, such as these that pass. Accept these hardships as blessings, as the blessings they are. Understand they share equal footing to the joys that are your recompense. So the joys, they say that the difficult things we go through, they are equally important as the joyful things that happen in our lives that make up for the hard things. Your experience here is complete and total, offering all sides of experience, and you must have the carnal experience to grow to your full might. We are sorry for your suffering, and we assist all as we may, but we know your choice, and we are in cohesion with your highest gift, your truth. So, I know that's, boy, it touches on, like, they don't hesitate to go into the dark places sometimes and to talk about that, to talk about like what, given that, okay, here we are having some difficult things happening, and there are a lot of people out there that are depressed right now, and we're talking about heart opening. And when you go through a heart opening, it can actually take you to some dark places, right? That experience, you can have physical pain in the heart space as your heart is opening, and you can also go through that dark night of the soul. You can go through depression. There's a lot of depression going on with all of our isolation. So I think they're speaking to that, and to the fact that, hey, we're not out of the woods yet. Like, this has been some bad stuff that happened, but there may be other things on the horizon, other things they've talked about that I don't think have occurred yet. So, and they're saying that to know that, whatever we go through is helping us in different ways, and we will get to a place when we go to the other side that all of that, like, we have all the benefit and none of the pain when we cross over. So we're going through it. We're going through this school, but we will have the rewards of it. And the difficulties that we have, to embrace those with an open heart and say, that to thank the difficulties. As a matter of fact, I'm inspired by Amina, who's here with us right now, who all of us sent her love on our last Friday Live, because she has been ill she's been sick, and she's feeling much better now. But I talked with her, and she was telling me how much she saw the beauty in her illness, that she saw all the people that stood up, and like all of you who sent her love, and her family who came and showed up for her. And through the whole thing, her heart was so open about the whole experience, and seeing the gifts inside of the challenge. And I know, all of you are very self-aware and see those things and feel those things. But I think this message is for the larger whole of us, the larger whole of the population. And there's a lot of people who are going through hard times, and to know that those times are not for nothing. Those times are important, and they are blessings in their own way, in one way or another, right? They're all purposeful, and they're serving us in one way or another. And that even if we are asking for help, even if we're asking and praying and speaking to the angel, to God, to Jesus, whoever it is that you are praying to, and you feel like they're not showing up for me, why are my pipes bursting, and why are things not happening? And it may be that the angels are right there with you, and that it's not in your highest and best good for them to fix whatever the problem is, but what they're doing instead is shedding light on the lessons that you're supposed to be learning. They're helping you in your highest purpose, helping you to take the meaning from the experience that you're in. So anyways, a beautiful message as always. Like I said, the angels they'll go there, they'll go deep, and they'll go dark if they have to, but always from a place of love for all of us. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. And I should post it. Maybe I'll post this really cool image into the chat so you guys can have it. I'll post it in right after we end here, so you guys can have it too. All right. Have a great weekend. And we got a couple more comments here. Oh, Rebecca, thank you. I'm so glad you like the messages. Teresa says the Privacy Act means we need to ask for help from the angels. Oopsie, I just lost you there. Help from the angels There we go. And Edie says, be brave, be strong. It's true. It feels like a reminder to remember that we chose to incarnate on earth. Embrace it with gratitude. We're here to grow and help. Yes, exactly. Right. Exactly. Rebecca, we are here now for a reason, right, Edie? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Hey, Amaris, looking forward to getting my hair cut. Yes, Amaris, I love you. Amaris, I said your name wrong. Sorry. I'm learning. All right, you guys, have a great weekend, and I will see you all very soon. Bye bye.